To start us off, let's talk about the concept of branching paths in a program. So far, really all of our programs can be represented with a straight line. Starting off with some kind of, input, asking for input, then doing some kind of calculation with it, and then lastly producing some kind of result. Interspersed in there might be some print statements, but really and truly, this is the structure we have used for most of our programs. The only difference would be that some of our programs didn't take input, and that was it. But otherwise, this is our structure of having just one linear kind of structure, because it's a line. Now, this is not the only way that we can structure a program. After all, we have access to these things called control structures. And these control structures include things like the one we're going to learn today, conditionals. These control structures add in various branches, and also they can add in various returns to previous branches that perhaps were unexpected if we're using the traditional linear model over here. To show off this kind of concept, imagine if I had to produce some kind of calculator that just simply added two numbers up, x plus y, to get some third number that was then printed out in the result. And then, these two would be our inputs here. Our calculation was the plus sign. All right, cool. So, you could see how that would very easily be translated into this kind of structure, and then from this structure into a program. I don't really want just plus sign. I would also like a minus. So now we have options. And these options are different from these ones because whereas the x and the y just simply would be different numbers, the plus and the minus are different operations, different calculations being performed. So let's do this. I'm going to hold the camera as steady as I can and, oh dang it, hold on just a moment. And back. Okay, I'm going to hold the camera as steady as I can as I erase that middle segment with the calculation. And let's go ahead and just say the word input again. Now this input here then asks the user something, and the question it's going to ask is, do you want plus or minus? That's going to be what it asks right here, and depending on that, it'll either do the plus operation or it will do the minus operation. And right there, we get a conditional structure. Remember, that's what we call the conditional structure, because what happens is it interrupts the linear flow of the program and adds in there different outcomes depending on the conditions done, which then adjusts this result significantly. There's a world of difference between 5 plus 4 and 5 minus 4. Or at least there's, 8 difference. Anyways, so that's kind of the idea of a control structure. It's meant to take our normal linear approach, which doesn't really quite fit our some of the programs we want to write, and we switch it over to this conditional approach, which perfectly fits it. So, let's move on.